Hey, welcome to the shop. So today I have a project I'm really excited about to make my lathe area just a lot nicer. And I think that what I'm going to show you could be really useful to organize tools no matter what type of tooling you use. See, on my lathe, I have most of the tooling here in this box. Now, a couple of years ago, I took some of my key tooling for my mill here and I put it in this shadow board tray so it'd be easy to access. Now, this isn't all my tooling, but it's the stuff that I need close at hand for basic milling operations. I've got some parallels, wrenches, a chuck. Right there I have room for my shell cutter. All sorts of things, a little square, and it all has a place to be. And this has been really helpful. So I want to replicate this idea, but I want to design something using laser cut parts from Send Cut Send so I could change out the top tray out of some of their alternate materials to suit my needs if that changes in the future without having to replace the whole thing. So I had to go through my drawers over here and also on the stand to decide what goes up here. And I thought about things like gauges, putting calipers up there, but I don't want them out and exposed, especially since I do some grinding here in the same area. And same thing with things like my indicators. So I'm going to keep gauges out of it. Now, things like chucks and collets, I'm not changing in and out all the time. What really takes up all my time is switching between the tool holders in here. So in here I have these holders that go on my quick change tool post. And when I'm machining, I'm changing these out all the time to go between different operations, or you might put boring bars up here on the end. So these are the main thing. I'd also like to have a place for a drill chuck from the tailstock, as well as a live center, as well as my chuck key. This is the tooling I'll make pockets for in the shadow board. This is by no means all the tooling, but these are the common things that I'm reaching for. I'm going to start off by measuring all of the tooling that's going to sit in the tray, and I'm just using calipers to do this. I've been playing with 3D scanners more lately, and I've used them on a few projects here on the channel, but for simple shapes, I still think this is the easiest. For the last one, I actually used just a regular flatbed scanner to do it. So with all the parts measured, I can draw each of the pockets here in CAD, and once I have all of the pockets drawn, that's going to let me really determine what size this needs to be. So I'll shift things around and figure out my spacing and play with it here on the computer because that's a lot easier to get a real feel for it. Now with the top profile drawn out, I can extrude that to make my top panel, and I won't show step by step how to model this base. I have some tutorials that I do walk through step by step on, but I'll show the general process. So I'm just creating a flange down off of each of the sides, and that's pretty straightforward to do, and then I'll trim it to size like this. All I need to do now is add a couple flanges on the back, and I'll round over a few corners and clean it up, and the model is ready to go. This is looking really good. I think it's going to work well for me, but we'll see when we get it in real life. So I turn this into a flat pattern, which the computer does for you. It's almost like magic, and that's what I can use to order my parts. So the thing that I upload to Send Cut Send is going to be these drawings that have just the DXF in them. And once those are uploaded, I can select my materials. So I'm making the main piece out of ABS plastic. And then this part is out of aluminum, and you can define your bends and it'll show you visually where all the bends are. And if you want to make your own, there's a discount code in the description that'll save you quite a bit. All right, well, a few days later, the parts are here. Let's open this up and put this rack together. Is 9 a.m. too early for candy? This is the only one like this in the world. This is complete custom made. And I just pushed a few buttons on the computer and this showed up at my door. So this is ABS plastic and it looks like it's cut on a CNC router rather than laser. And you can see the small radius down in the corners there. And then this right here is laser cut and bent aluminum. Now I could weld up these corners, but I'm just gonna leave them. I think it'll be just fine, and attach it to the wall. And the nice thing here is that if I change my mind on the types and number of tool holders, which is unlikely, I'm pretty well established in what I want the main things to be, but if I did change my mind, I can just replace this top piece with a new one, and I'd have a whole different layout. Instead of screws, I'm just going to assemble this with some pop rivets like this, but before I put them in, I just want to make sure that the pockets are all the right sizes for the tools. How that all sits in there perfectly. Now see, up in front of the tool holders, I left enough room that, particularly with like a boring bar, it could extend up a little ways from where I am. I've got the tail stock accessories. I'm gonna have the chuck here and the live center there. They're on the right side near the tail stock. I've got the chuck key over here on the left side. And these are all sitting such that they can just drop right on as I work through my operations. Actually, you know what? Before I put one in, I'm gonna put one loosely in each of the holes so it doesn't get locked in a way that I can't slide in the others. There we go. All right, it's looking pretty good. Now let's get out the old Stanley. I really need a better pop riveter, but I don't use pop rivets that much. Go. Looking good. You know what I just did? I just smashed the clip that holds it shut when I was squeezing it. So maybe I will get a new one after all. Nah, it'll be fine. We'll just put it away like that. Now before I mount this, let me just point out one little design aspect. These mounting flanges don't come all the way up to the top, and you might wonder, why would I do that? Well, you have to think about how it's made. So when it's sitting here, notice that this rakes back in front of this bend. So if you complete this bend first, if it had continued all the way up to the end, there wouldn't be room for a punch to sit down in there on a press brake. So by leaving some clearance there, and you want to, as a rule of thumb, have as much clearance here as you have your part protruding out here. So by leaving that clearance, you're able to make a bend like that without much issue. So I wanted to mount it nice and high so I'd have plenty of clearance around the lathe still, so it doesn't get in the way of anything, and it's looking pretty good. Well, I think that looks pretty cool, if I say so myself. You know, if you want to do projects like this and you're intimidated by all the newfangled technology, I've put together a couple of tutorials on my channel recently where I walk through step by step how to design and order laser cut parts like this. And if you do want to use SendCutSend, I have a 15% discount code linked down in the description. It's not an affiliate link, just something awesome they do for us here on the channel. So thanks a ton for tuning in. If you enjoyed this or learned something, let me know by hitting that thumbs up or leaving me a comment. We'll see you next time.